The Great Seer Nostradamus Tells All by William P. Lazarus. Chapter 1. Episode 1. A long, bony finger, tinged with a yellow stain, slowly pointed towards me. I hung back in the shadows of this large bedroom lit by 3 large tallows and the sunlight poking through the glassed window. The finger hovered in space, trembling slightly. "I know what you want," rasped the old man behind the finger. Lying in a bed, his back propped up by an array of pillows as would have befit royalty, he stared at me through half-closed, red and rheumy eyes. His long nose stretched over a face lined with creases, yet as he spoke, the signs of age smoothed out, the way a sudden splash in a river slowly fades into nothingness. "You do?" I managed. "Of course he did. Mitchell de Notre Dame, better known to the world as Nostradamus, knows everything. He has seen the future, the heavens above and the deep recesses below." I could barely speak. I gripped my sheets of rag paper as my head whirled. I had come to the dying seer's bedchamber to find the truth. Of course he knew why I was there. The finger crooked and beckoned me forward. I could not resist. Slowly, my bare feet stumbling on the hard wooden floors, I inched towards him. Nostradamus lay quietly, almost smiling. He had just finished eating a morsel of bread and seemed content. His hands were spread across the knitted coverlet. His nails were trimmed and bluish. His careworn face, lined and crinkled, was elongated and narrow, an effect enhanced by the white beard that came to a twisted point well below his chin. His white hair, so thinned in spots that his scalp glistened through, spread across his pillow like thick spider webs. I could hear the stomp of feet nearing the bedroom door, yet inside, where I stood trembling, I was alone. "Come," he said impatiently. "The jackals are returning." I quickened my step, and let my knees dare touch the coverlet that fell across his legs and stretched to the wooden floor. From such proximity, I could see the reddening of his forehead from the heat within and the film that had formed across his brown, all-seeing eyes. His face was filled with sullen resignation, the same look on many a cow that I helped my father butcher. His breath came in shallow bursts. Several times his thin, frail body quivered and shook. Still, his bony finger remained in space, pointing directly at my bursting heart. "Your book," he said. I hesitated. "I would sign now," he mumbled impatiently. "My name shall be worth much in the coming years. Have you any ink with that quill?" Realization stunned me. "No, no, honored sir," I whimpered. "I did not come for your autograph." His face fell. The wrinkles re-emerged as he seemed to dry up. "Would you mock me?" he asked in harsh tones, drawing himself up a little. His gray robe bunched around his thin neck the way a frightened bird fluffs out its chest to appear mightier. "No, never," I cried in agony. "I have come to talk to you to find out the truth." "The truth," he murmured, lying back. The effort had caused sweat to dampen his aged brow. "All famous people know the truth about life," I quavered. "We do," he murmured. I shuddered. I must have touched upon a sore point. I decided to focus on fame and let truth come as it may. "I implore you," I whimpered, dropping to my knees. "Tell me, how does one achieve such greatness? What is the secret of fame? Must one ingest nutmeg and dream great dreams? Do I have to be a doctor and find a cure for an invented disease? A lawyer with the speed to catch the fastest ambulance? Where does greatness lie? It simply lies," Nostradamus said. I digested that wisdom as I stared at dust balls collected beneath the great bed. "Get up," Nostradamus ordered. "I can't see you down there." I arose, my paper pressed against my heaving chest. I pleaded with him for more, using my eyes in the way that always softened my mother's anger and bemused my father. Nostradamus, the giant among us, was not immune. I knew he would lead me on the journey of his life, to show me the paths he followed. I would see the route to immortality through the eyes of the man who knows everything. There was a knock at the door. I moved back to the small nook against the white plastered wall and readied my turkey feather quill. A cauldron thick with black ink sat at my side. I had found the supply in a cauldron secreted in a small room near the bedroom, but I first had to clean away a rancid brown liquid. Quickly, the room filled with visitors. All entered with hushed tones and respectful expressions, dressed in robes and formal attires, as though going to an investiture of a royal servant or a funeral. They tiptoed on soft slippers and gathered about the old man on the bed. Nostradamus coughed, and every head swiveled to watch. He closed his eyes, and every mouth immediately grew silent. He gave a deep sigh, and every ear perked up, listening intently. He opened his eyes, and everyone relaxed, The old man stared at the underside of his blue woolen canopy. I crept closer to peer at the same surface. I could not see anything of the least interest on the weathered cloth. The old man continued to stare. I remained there, bent, studying the woolen texture. Soon I was joined by several others in the bedroom. In a few minutes, the bed was surrounded as everyone stared at the underside of the aged canopy ringed with a golden fringe. "It's wool," Nostradamus finally rasped. Everyone nodded. After a few more seconds of intense contemplation, the visitors separated into smaller groups to discuss the latest revelation. Some insisted the old man was making another prediction. Wool could mean anything. Sheep in wolves' clothing, flock, the second coming, Beelzebub. Every word should be recorded for posterity, the bald sage firmly insisted. Others nodded. "He always writes in riddles," a third man noted, tugging thoughtfully on a full, white beard. This latest comment about wool, while cryptic, could hold deep meaning for future generations. He added with nodding self-assurance, "The mayor of Saint-Remy, a hefty man whose narrow view of the world endeared him to the city council, suggested hesitantly the single word wool might be nothing more than a description, but he was instantly silenced with cold glares." "Nostradamus does not just issue idle blathers," a scholar in a black robe solemnly said. "He pontificates, he clarifies, he enunciates. All we can do is record and try to understand. We are feeble humans, not blessed with his sixth sense, and can only ponder the unknowable like supplicants at Mass." Some gasped. There was a murmur about sacrilege, but the conversation quickly shifted as the old man on the bed groaned. He rubbed his foot, hidden beneath the blankets, and said something about gout. "Do you suppose he reads the future through his feet?" I hesitantly asked. "No one knows." The scholar whispered. "He usually retreats into his study and emerges with his findings. Then could it be gout that guides him, or his oft-time stomach pains?" I wondered aloud. "If so, I can't wait until I am infirmed. Imagine the mysteries pain can unfold." I looked around. Perhaps I could speed the process. Could someone hit me? "The secret, my son, lies not in pain, but how the ache is interpreted," an apothecary said, to my relief. He was dressed, like most of the others, in a simple tunic and tights. You could ache and not see the fall of the medici and the agony. Nostradamus, on the other hand, does. The writhing in pain, the suffering, the agony he must go through. The speaker paused to admire the old man who was now muttering epithets from his bed. "On the other hand, I've heard that he relies on a code, a sort of runic lettering like those found among the Vikings," the apothecary said in a conspiratory whisper. The rumor now circulated the small room until it was converted from heretical speculation into orthodox thought. "It can't be the devil," I responded. "I've been here an hour and have not seen anything resembling horns and tails." The old man in the bed cocked an ear at this. "Humph," he muttered. "Maybe all of you are in disguises." We all turned again to gaze at Nostradamus and his sea of blankets. He suddenly closed his eyes with hands folded on his thin chest. "Is he?" someone asked hesitantly. "Dead," Nostradamus finished with his deep rumbling voice without opening his eyes. "I will let you know when that time comes." "Of course," the scholar intoned, "as I have told you." A priest slipped through the door and approached the bed. "How are you, my son?" he asked tremulously, glancing nervously at those in the room and the long figure in the bed. He held a chalice in one hand, a communion wafer in the other. "Out, rogue." The old man shouted, coming alive with a burst of energy. His hair flew about his face. Nostradamus brushed it aside with a trembling hand. "Let the ghoul leave," he demanded, using his grim, skeletal finger to indicate the way. The crowd parted, and like Moses, the priest retreated. "I am just trying to perform my required functions," he said apologetically, hastily crossing himself. "It's all right. We've bought enough indulgences for him for eternity," a woman by the door whispered to him. If you enjoyed this episode, stick around to find out what happens in Chapter 1, Episode 2.